walking past the booth, we catch Miss Katie, communications manager for Ritter Communications. Right now I'm joined with Tracy Doaks. She's with MCNC.
We don't want to have to go put a cone in it. We don't want to have to go chase that lid down every time it rains.
No.
Is
that a thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Like it just,
We run 4,500 miles of fiber across North Carolina.
I talk about this often, but oh yeah, it's a quiet killer.
It is.
People don't know about it until they lose a bunch of money and get leverage. All right, we're back here. Fiber Connects 2025. We've had so many people come by the booth, so many people talking about so many different technologies, providers, ISPs, construction companies, new technologies. I mean, everything, anything and everything has been seen here. Walking past the booth, we catch Miss Katie, communications manager for Ritter Communications.
Yep.
And we convinced her to come on the show. So, you know, just starting with that, Katie, who is Ritter Communications?
So Ritter Communications is an ISP. We are based out of Jonesboro, Arkansas. We are currently in 6 different states. Mm-hmm. And so we're kind of representing our Right Fiber brand here today. We've worked with you guys on our Right Fiber projects. So Right Fiber is our residential fiber to the home services. And those are where we cover those 6 states.
Okay. So Right Fiber is the brand of the fiber deployment from fiber to the home.
Correct.
And you guys are just blowing up right now. Like
absolutely.
you're literally going all over the place. And what is is there an end to that madness, or you're just like, hey, we're gonna get as many people as we can just because we love it?
There is never an end to this, is what I've said, and I never say never in the job that we have.
Yeah.
When I started here, we were serving 3 states. I've been here 2 years. We just started in our 6th. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we're growing rapidly and in every direction.
Yeah. I mean, with that growth, what would you say the biggest challenges are with rapid growth like that? What are you experiencing?
I would say from my standpoint, the biggest issue we're running into these days is locates.
Yeah.
We're in super small communities. Mm-hmm. That's probably not fair. We're in mid-sized communities where locates don't necessarily get the attention that they probably deserve.
Yeah.
These communities are doing everything they can with the resources that we have,
yeah.
but we're doing some widespread projects.
Yeah.
And so locates have definitely been a struggle. Permits have been a bit of a struggle. All of that on the construction side, obviously.
And when you say locates are a bit of a struggle, is that just is it a lack of manpower on the locate side, or is it these communities just struggling to have the money and the funds and the available resources to get it done?
All of the above.
All the above.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a niche for sure. You have a water department that may have 3 people that work and run the entire department. Well, one of those is going to be your locator, and if you've called in, 300 tickets throughout the city, they're going to have to handle all of that.
And we all know Mr. John, right? Mr. John is the water guy. Yes. He knows everybody's first name in town.
Yes, and he's been here 35 years, and the maps are in his head.
That's right.
So we have to go through John.
And now we can't. Now they may not have a wire on it, a locate wire, which is what we used to electrically locate.
Correct.
So now we've run into a problem. We have to guess and probe.
Absolutely.
And so, and John doesn't have that kind of time every day.
He absolutely does not. So we do everything that we can from our side. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're going to follow 811 standards, but we have to make sure that we also, don't overwhelm these cities. We don't put them in a spot that we are not being the partner that we strive to be.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a balancing act.
And I will say that about y'all. Working with you, you guys are always open to open line of communication. It seems like the municipalities that work with you guys love you guys.
Yeah.
So it seems like growth is probably pretty natural for you at this point.
It really has been. I will say the community partnerships is my favorite part of my job.
Yeah.
So my team handles all the communication internally and externally through engineering and construction. Mm-hmm. So we're the first people that these municipalities see.
Yeah.
My team goes in and we'll meet with the mayors and the city managers, public works, anybody that we can make the relationships with on the front end to make the construction process a little less cumbersome.
Get a little grace.
Yeah, absolutely. Explain who we are, what we're doing, and that, once we come in, construction's always messy. It's going to be a bit disruptive, but that we stand by our Right By You pledge. We make things right, build those relationships, and it's been nothing but fruitful.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to go into communities, right?
So much fun.
People are happy to see y'all.
Absolutely.
It's like they haven't had fiber.
Yeah.
And now they have it. You're like the most popular person in town.
Right. And it seems like such a foreign concept. Being on the construction side, we are digging holes and we are, leaving a bit of a mess for a little while. But we still have people that are like, okay, cool. You did that. But when are we going to get the service? That's fine. Yeah, but moving on.
I didn't want that shrub anyway.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
So you were, earlier today, you were at the Women in Fiber lunch.
Yeah.
How are you enjoying the show so far? What did you think about the Women in Fiber lunch? And what's your biggest takeaway from the show so far?
So this is my second year of the National FBA, and it gets better every year. Every event we go to is so much fun. But the Women in Fiber events that they do with FBA are just always so impressive. The amount of women that come together that are in this industry that have a wealth of knowledge is just the most impressive.
Yeah.
It's a really impressive showing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Women in Fiber group may be the fastest growing group in FBA.
Yeah.
It's not a little event. Like y'all take up like the entire main hall.
There's 3 ballrooms. Like VCD is all open just for our group.
That's crazy. That's good too.
It's awesome.
Yeah. What have you seen? If I had to put you on the spot, here at the show, have you seen anything technologically that you're just like, wow, I didn't know that existed? Or is there anything that you walk by and you're like, that's pretty cool. I'm glad I stopped by here.
So many things. I've only been in the industry 2.5 years. And so as it's changing every day, even for people that have done it forever, for a new set of eyes, like every time is something super cool and exciting.
Yeah.
I'm super pumped about the amount of, this is a very, very specific.
About to nerd out on me?
Yeah, absolutely. This actually was dinner time conversation, and I had to go follow up on it this morning. The auto latching handhold lids that don't require bolts. That sounds like the most.
Not a big thing, but it is a huge thing. Yeah.
So one of my other teams, I do comms on one side, infrastructure audit on the other. And so our infrastructure audit team goes out during the builds and after the builds to make sure everything's up to standards.
Yeah. QA.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that we see are handhold bolts missing.
Yes.
And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but in areas like in Ruston, where it tends to flood a bit in these residential areas, those lids pop off so quick.
Yes.
Boxes fill with water. It's a safety hazard. It's not aesthetically pleasing for the residents. We don't want to have to go put a cone in it. We don't want to have to go chase that lid down every time it rains.
No.
So there's been several.
Is that a thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Like it'll
just wash down the road.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and a lot of the rural areas that we have, we'll go out and do an audit, and it'll be, just a stretch where we don't have any lids left, and it's like, do people take them? Do they? No, they're down in the ditch. You just have to go fish them out of the ditch and then go pop them all back on.
I see. Okay, I didn't know that was a thing.
It's absolutely. I would have had no idea until I got into our very, very specific conversation, and it is. We score our audits, so basically, all of the questions are weighted on a scale. And you cannot get higher than 80% on our audits if the handhold bolts are missing, because we will then have to spend the manpower to have somebody go back out and put these lids on. Yeah,
and it's not cheap.
No.
To deploy a vehicle to go look,
absolutely.
It's not cheap.
Well,
just to put 2 bolts in.
Exactly. And you can never figure out how it happened, why the bolts weren't there, if they were there and then they were moved. None of that matters. Conversations I don't want to have. So I'm so pumped to see these lids that have the auto latch on them. So excited.
Do you have a favorite story of like a community that you went into so far? You've been in it 2 years, you said.
Yeah.
You have a favorite story of like somebody came and thanked me for having fiber to their area, or just like, they'd said the experience so far has been just really great. Just brag on yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like I have so many stories, but one I was really excited about last month. So we do road trips within my department, and we'll go visit all the communities that we're either constructing, we finished construction, or we're moving into. And so we get to talk to everybody a little bit. And one of our territories, we've been there and we did our phase 1 of construction. We had business services there, did phase 1 of residential, and it had such a great take rate. And we were so welcomed in that community that we did a phase 2. And so we're doing a secondary build there. We met with one of the city managers, and he said that he went to a conference with all the other city managers in that area. And he was like, if y'all don't have right fiber, if they're not looking at your area, you need to start reaching out now.
Petition them to come.
Yes.
That's the best kind of referral you can get.
Absolutely. And we, obviously, again, construction's always messy. We have worked with them tirelessly for it's been a year and a half now that we've gone through the construction, but we made it through on the other side, got all the rules and regs figured out, and now it's one of my favorite places to work.
In Louisiana, we had tried to get some legislation through for mapping at one point in time to digitally map some of these hard hit areas that, we need to build there. But like you said, Mr. John, he's so busy, and we don't want future Mr. Johns to lose that mapping or that's in their head. And so I really hope that it's something that our either federally or state they pick up with, because I love you coming on here and saying, like, these are the challenges. Real people are affected.
Right.
We're trying to get something good out, but we're doing the best we can. And poor Mr. John.
Yes. And we want to do anything and everything that we can to help there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm glad you've enjoyed the show. I appreciate you coming on here with us and taking the time. I know we snatched you right off the aisle.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
There we go. So anyway, thank you again, Katie Hall, for being on here with Ritter Communications.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
That's it for Fiber Broadband 2025. And with Katie, I think we're going to have a couple of other guests on here. But this time, that's it for Fiber to Me, Baby. I'm Josh. Hey there, I'm Josh Etheridge with EPC and Talk Fiber to Me, Baby. We're here at Fiber Connect 2025. Huge show. I know we've had several guests on over the last day and a half. This show has been electric. I mean, everybody's talking about everything under the sun. I know I've said that several times, but it truly is electric. Right now, I'm joined with Tracy Doaks.
Yes.
Did I say that correct?
You did.
Right on. She's with MCNC, which I'm going to let you tell what that is, because it's not important at all, right? It's not like you guys do anything important.
No. I mean, MCNC 40 years ago, 45 years ago, stood for Microelectronics Center of North Carolina. And back then we were doing supercomputers. But today, right, for researchers.
Yeah.
And but today we run 4,500 miles of fiber across North Carolina. So we are the research and education network where all of education runs on that network. That includes all of K-12, most of the charter schools, all of public higher ed, most of the independent colleges and universities. And in addition to that, we run the telehealth network and the state network for North Carolina.
So telehealth, big conversation right now in DC and everywhere. It's a very big deal to rural Americans. That's our kind of bread and butter. People don't understand how that can affect the economy and just availability to healthcare in rural and urban areas, and how it really affects the amount of time somebody has to take off work, the amount of time right now we have a shortage of a lot of different type of providers in the healthcare network, and being able to get to a professional or a specialist. Who likes to go into the doctor and actually have to get, just so they look at you and be like, yeah, you need to go, you need a referral.
Right.
That was my whole day off.
Right.
I had to request this day off.
Yes.
And so this network carries that telehealth, some of the telehealth care is provided, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. But you make an interesting point. You know, in the rural parts of our state, we provide the telehealth network for the providers, but that doesn't answer the need for the patients.
I see.
So just because we're providing that telehealth network for providers, the patients are the ones that also have to be able to engage with the providers, right?
On.
And so when you talk about the economy and what's happening out into the world with the farmers, for example, many of them losing their livelihood, they need health care more than ever, whether it's mental health or otherwise. And I beat this drum all the time about thriving communities. They only work if they're healthy, if they're educated, if they've got access to jobs, and healthcare is a key cornerstone to that.
Absolutely. My wife is a nurse practitioner. She worked at a rural health clinic for the last 10 years.
Oh my.
And so she's seen things like people riding their lawnmower up just to be seen, barefoot patients. I mean, she's seen some real things. And, you know, I more than most probably understand what that means to them. And I'm from a rural area myself. And so understanding what that means to an economy, you're totally right. So what do you see as some of like the the hindrances to furthering this availability? I mean, what's important to you guys right now? Like what do you see on the horizon?
I think the biggest concern we have is the USF funding,
Okay.
right? Because that is the Health Connect fund that
Yeah.
helps subsidize
Universal
this.
Service Fund. for
Yes,
people that
thank
don't-
you. Universal Service Fund. So that's my biggest concern,
Mhm.
and most of us across the country.
Yeah.
Is if that doesn't get funded, then we will see even more of a scarcity around these healthcare communities and them being able to operate on a telehealth network.
Tell me, and for the viewers,
Sure.
what is USF? What is it going to subsidize?
So what it subsidizes, oh boy, this is a good, really good question, but it helps subsidize the providers that need access to that network. And so they don't have that, they're not going to be able to pay, right? And so in our case, the North Carolina Telehealth Network Association subcontracts the work to us. And so we run the network, but
Yeah.
they pay us to run the network
Mhm.
through the subsidy that they get,
That's right.
right? And we're a nonprofit. We're never going to turn anyone off, but it will become difficult, just like anyone else.
Maybe not sustainable.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're only there.
And
to
this is
cover our
education. We're
costs.
talking healthcare right now, but this is education too, right? This E-rate.
It is. It is
Uh,
certainly for K through 12.
Mhm.
Higher ed and community colleges, they have their own funding, but K through 12, it will be extremely problematic. And like you, we are a rural community.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm from Virginia, but I came from a rural community as well. And so needing
Now-
that access is important.
We saw a big problem with this maybe in COVID when everybody's like, stay home, remote learn.
Yes,
A lot of people in rural areas was like, what are you talking about?
absolutely.
And so they went to where? The library, right? If they could get in, if it was open.
Or McDonald's parking lot.
McDonald's parking lots. But I say libraries in general because that's also affected by USF, right? Like
That's correct.
that is funded. That internet provision there is funded through E-rate or through other USF funding programs.
And let's not forget the libraries, who we also support. I neglected to mention that.
Mhm.
They were also extremely useful during COVID for telehealth. So patients were going to libraries to try to get access in order to meet with a provider because of
Couldn't
course,
go in.
you couldn't go in whether you wanted to or not. And so libraries have, it's a multi-purpose type of resource that
Yeah.
everybody needs to have access to. And
Yeah.
it is really quite scary about what's happening.
I thought it was interesting that I saw a congressional hearing the other day for Robert Kennedy, and he got on and he was like, as the health, I guess he's the health chairman. I forget what the name title is, but the Secretary of Health.
Yeah.
And so he got on and he said, they asked, one of the congresswomen actually asked, what are you going to do about rural America and healthcare? Like, what are you going to do? Like, we have such a huge problem with healthcare in rural areas. And his answer was, we have AI-driven prescriptions and AI-driven things that we can actually assess people by taking a picture of their throat and other things. And I thought that was really ironic answer considering that we're where we are in the funding type
Right.
realm. And so I'm very interested to see what happens. What are we watching for right now?
I think we're watching for the Supreme Court case with USF. And if it doesn't go our way, when I say our, it's the collective
Yeah.
our, right?
People in rural areas way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely. And then you'll see a lot more advocacy in the Capitol around for those USF committees. And so I met with a couple of the chairs and their staff a couple of weeks ago to ask, okay, so if this doesn't go our way, one, it's going to take a while, right, for us to figure out what to do next. Are we going to have some kind of gap funding there while we wait? And then second, what are you prepared to do? Will you support it? And what does that mean? What does that look like? And so, a lot of it was, well, we just have to wait to see what happens with the Supreme Court case. We met with FCC, kind of the same language there. And perhaps that was just for us
Yeah.
when we were sitting there in front of them.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that they don't have a plan, but that is what we're watching for right now. Of course, BEAD funding.
Yeah.
So for those rural communities,
Oh man.
yeah,
So important.
it is really important. And just like you mentioned during COVID, which is when I started at MCNC, I started and then everything got shut down.
Yeah.
You know, there were a lot of students, to your point, a lot of families that couldn't get access. BEAD funding will play a big part in expanding connectivity in those parts
Absolutely.
of the country, and certainly in our state for unserved, underserved, and what we call overlooked.
Yeah. And you're right. And for the lost forgotten.
Yes.
And people really don't understand what it means. And we're big advocates of BEAD. I think we've been pretty loud about it in every sense. We're from Louisiana, so we were first to have the BEAD approved, at least through NTIA.
Congratulations.
So, well, I don't know yet.
Right.
We needed NIST approval with the Commerce Committee, and so we've been pretty big advocates for, hey, just let it rock out. Let's get these people, because I think what these people that's making this legislation, and they have a huge task. I understand that the program had its fallacies, it had its problems. I think that let's assess it and let's move quickly. But if they knew what was being affected, go talk, go to the town halls and talk to the mothers and fathers that could not get their kid to school or just could not do rural learning, or there's so many opportunities that they're being missed by, and they have to go stand up on top of this is a real story, a chicken coop.
Oh my.
That's out in North Louisiana. Lady had to stand on top of a chicken coop so her kid could get with a Verizon hotspot. Thanks, Verizon. Little plug there.
Yeah.
With a Verizon hotspot to get her laptop inside the house to work well enough so that he could do a computer-based training.
Wow.
And so that's a real story.
Right.
And so,
right. And imagine the people who run their businesses, who need to run their businesses, right? And need to continue to have thriving communities so their kids aren't going somewhere else.
Yeah.
To
That's what
find
they're doing.
the
Workforce
innovation
education,
and
rock and roll.
Right.
That's
right.
where they have to go somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, the middle mile funding has already been distributed. So
It's there.
MCNC,
Yeah.
we received one of the only grants within North Carolina of that funding. So we're building this out. And it was for the purposes of BEAD. So everyone else could build off of our open network to extend and do the last mile.
And it really, what did it reduce the price? I mean, like,
absolutely. So if you don't do BEAD,
is that the benefit of the bargain? Is that what that is? It seems like the benefit of the bargain. That's a term that Lutnick uses pretty regular. That Secretary Lutnick, I'm sorry.
Is he a friend of yours?
No, but I don't. The respect is due. I'll give him that. But yes, I definitely think that that's what he wants. And so things like what you've done with the middle mile, giving the opportunity for that last mile provider to jump on and get these areas served, I think that's the way to go.
It absolutely is.
So as far as moving forward, USF, BEAD, is there any expansion plans for middle mile for you guys? Is there any plans moving forward that you're like, I just want to tackle this next? What's the biggest tackle you got on the horizon?
Frankly, it's hard to see past what's going on right now.
I get it. Unknown.
Yeah, it is unknown. And so unless we know what's going to happen with the funding, of course, for MCNC, we're going to fund, resiliency plans and things like that. Of course, because it's the right thing to do. But until we know exactly what funding opportunities there are, it kind of puts us at a standstill.
Can't make plans in the dark.
You can't. We can build all the middle mile that we can to connect more community anchor institutions, and we'll do that. But that still doesn't negate the fact that residents will also need.
Oh, absolutely.
That you're right.
And the end user, and I think that goes into the education side of it. And really, I hate to dive off into this rabbit hole, but I will say this: when people got given, I have some posters in my office. I talk about this often, but when there's these posters in my office, and it's from the 50s when they gave telephones to rural areas. And they made the guy standing up there huge, and he's like, we need you to help us build telephones across the U.S. So that was one marketing ploy. The second one was they were trying to teach people how to use the technology.
Wow.
The software wasn't there in our case now,
Mhm.
but the education wasn't there. And there. So it's like, hey, when you get robbed, call the police. Like, you have a phone now. You should
Right.
use it. And then
Right.
when people traveled, they were like, hey, stop at a payphone and check on your kids.
Yes.
You can do that now.
Right.
And people didn't know those things. I think that's kind of what we're getting up to right now in these rural areas, getting this opportunity. I think they need to be taught how to use it adequately, or it's just going to sit there and get dust.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And part of the work that we do includes cybersecurity. So it's protected connectivity,
Yeah.
not just connectivity.
We host a cybersecurity summit every year.
Oh.
And I got to tell you, I walk out, I've had people from FBI, the Secret Service, all kinds of people.
Yeah.
When I leave out of there, twisted up, full hat off the top of my head. Like, I'm like, they know everything. It's
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
It is. It is. And I was the state CIO for the state of North Carolina
Yeah.
before I came to MCNC. And two of our big things were broadband, cybersecurity.
Oh, yeah. It's
What
the
a-
quiet killer.
It is.
People don't know about it until they lose a bunch of money and get leverage.
And during COVID, it was the absolute worst because everyone was vulnerable, in particular schools.
Oh, yeah.
Schools
Oh, yeah. Getting
and local
information out there.
governments because, they were kind of the sleepers. And
Oh,
these
yeah.
threat actors found them, ransomware attacks, all those kinds of things. And so, having the network protected,
Mhm.
which is also part of our strategic plan for the next 5 years, is to build more of that out for the communities that we serve. And lastly, I don't know if you know about the big storm we had in the western part of our state, the
Yes.
100-year flood.
Yes.
I expect we'll see more of that, where we're going to have to go in, not just recover, but become more resilient.
Build more resilience.
Build. And so
100%.
new technologies, new innovations that help us do that and help us help others do that is
Yeah.
a big part of what we'll also be doing in the future.
Man, like I said when we first started, it's not like you do anything important. I say that with sarcasm, but I really, really appreciate what y'all do. And I appreciate you being on the show with us.
Absolutely.
And I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's it for Talk Fiber to Me, baby. This time, we'll see y'all again next time.